call the meeting to order at 7:04, March 11, at the Town Library, as noticed. It's a meeting of the Town of Norton Zoning Board of Appeals. There are 4 items on the agenda tonight, I believe. The first is the matter of 42 Mansfield Ave. David and Nancy Federici, and I see the Federicis are here. We had looked at this the last couple of meetings, and I think the information that I had before is accurate, that this is not a zoning matter, not within the jurisdiction of the zoning bylaws, therefore not within our jurisdiction. Now, I saw that there was further communication from the Federicis a few weeks ago. That is not the zoning bylaw either. I inquired of town council, and that was the response as far as I'm remembering. So I don't think this is an application or a matter within our purview at this time, and I think we have to take a vote to deny, to the extent that it was an appeal of a decision of the building inspector, because it's not within our jurisdiction. Board members, any discussion on this?
No, I mean, I saw the communication with the town council, and that's what we were looking for. Like, I was kind of hopeful that that would be within our purview, but
That it's not a zoning bylaw, therefore we have no ability to act on it, and no ability to act on the building inspector's decision that I believe was akin to that it was not a zoning matter. So it was not something that we could do in this department.
Is
Mr.
there another
Spangler?
department, like the selectmen?
I'm sorry, we can't tell you that, I don't know.
yeah.
You have to inquire at town hall or through council if there's a legal question. I don't know, and I think the other members and the building inspector would say the same thing. I'm not speaking for them, but it's a matter not within a zoning purview, so that we don't have any jurisdiction to take action on it.
Understood.
Brian, do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, then is there a motion, you could state it positively or negatively, to, I would suggest a motion that, to deny the review of the building inspector's decision because the matter is not within the zoning bylaws.
Right.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is
I have
there
a
a
question
second?
before you finish.
Question?
Yeah. So who do we go to next?
Mr. Federici, I just tried to answer that. We can't direct you because we don't know. I would say contact town hall, the town manager's office, or the board of selectmen, or consult council to ask what bylaw that is part of, and go to that department. Whether it's public safety and police, or the board of selectmen, I don't know.
Right.
Okay.
How do, let me just ask you, when, around the area, I see, blind driveways, deaf child, stuff like that. Is that a DOT?
I don't know. I would suggest the town manager or board of selectmen
Yeah.
might be able to address that.
Okay.
The highway department would be able to answer that.
The Norton Highway Department.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
where there's like deaf child and stuff. I would
Yeah,
assume
'cause
that would
I
be
got-
able
we
to
gotta have
like
something
highway or
else,
mass
yeah.
state.
Okay.
So a motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor of that motion to deny the appeal of the building inspector's decision? Mr. Tenori,
Yes.
Mr. Spangler?
Yes.
And Mr. Noel, yes, as well. Good luck to you in pursuing whatever remedies are there.
Well, let's
Thank
just
you.
hope nobody gets killed, that's
Yeah,
all.
well,
We
As do
certainly
we.
join you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you for your patience.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. How's the foot?
Next item on the agenda is the matter of Brahman Drive.
this is one of the ones I hadn't seen.
And me as well.
Sorry,
It's all right, no worries.
Just finding.
So I see a plan of record. It is an engineered plan, stamped November 9, 2023. Is the application here?
Yes.
Sorry, the applicant is here? Can you come up within our?
You want me to put up a couple of chairs?
Why don't you pull up a couple chairs here so we don't have to talk
Get in the hot seat.
around the back of our heads, you know? Not greatest
Too,
terrain.
nice to see you.
We did that paint for bedroom purposes. It wasn't-
I love it.
We don't usually meet here in the library, so we kind
So we have to be quiet?
No, you don't have to be quiet, but we do have to move a few chairs, thank you. Is the application here in the Dropbox?
Yes, there is 2 pages. The one you're looking at, and then there is a second one which is up on the screen, which is also there.
The application itself is not here?
The application itself is on OpenGov, if that's what you mean.
Can we get it? Can you send us a copy so that we know what is being asked for? I see, okay, there's a plan here, the one I just highlighted, dated November 9, 2023, and then a second plan dated, this is called proposed stamped plan.
I don't know if this helps, Tom, but this is.
Hold on, I want to get this plan date first. Dated January 10th, 2024. Why don't I ask the applicant to explain what they are looking for? We'd like to see the written application, but why don't I ask the applicant to explain? Could you identify yourself for the record?
David Ford, my wife Christy, 19 Brown Drive.
And are you the owners of the
Correct.
property?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us what you are asking the zoning board for.
So we're gonna put an in-law around the side of the house
Yep,
for my mother. So,
And our request is it's greater than 25% of the current,
square footage of the house.
thank you.
okay, so that, is this an undersized lot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is, so.
This is a prior existing non-conforming. So is that the reason that Mr. Iafredi sent the applicant here?
Yeah, for a finding under 1.6
And because it's greater than 25%,
of existing, yep, correct.
and which plan do I see that on? Were you trying to point that out?
No, I was just showing you the application, so they identified a finding for 1.6.
Could you put that proposed stamp back up on the board?
So,
Existing structure I can see. I see proposed addition, thanks. I see the sideline is, appears to be 25.9 feet
Correct.
on the bottom of the page, the southerly side. And that's the closest encroachment, correct? And this is a what zone?
60.
Okay. So it is not requiring a variance, am I correct? It's
No.
20,
just a-
25 and a
Yep.
60. I don't have that here, even though I do have that here. So we are
Size,
simply
yeah.
seeing that we need a finding, I suggest, that the planned addition as shown on the plan of record being the, what did I say, January 10th date, is not substantially more detrimental to the locus or the neighborhood in terms of the factors pointed out in section 1.5. Does it appear that way to you as well?
It does.
Okay, can we just ask the applicants then to explain, this is for an in-law, you said?
Correct.
So it's not a separate dwelling unit,
No,
it's to be next to the existing structure?
correct.
Can I
And
just-
why is this not, go ahead,
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
This is a dumb question on my end, but
no dumb questions.
what's the black build line? See where that is?
Where?
See right up here?
That box.
What's
That's the setback, so those are the minimum setbacks.
Oh,
No?
Well,
Well, if it's 40 feet, that would be from the back, that'll be, it's 40, 40, and 25 are the setbacks.
yeah, but it's not, that's definitely not the setback. So,
Is that
is
dotted,
that wetland?
you talking about the bubble line?
No, I'm talking about
That
the,
dotted line?
yeah, the height.
That appears to be a setback.
That's the building setback from the property.
Yeah, so. I
That's
think
a
Gives you-
25
Gives you a
feet.
minimum setback from the property line.
Buildable area.
Yeah, so the buildable area is inside.
Oh, I see what they did. Ah, I get it now.
that's just the
Okay.
pocket, the zone. right?
Okay, yeah. That's, usually we don't see that.
Right, some do that, but not
It
all.
almost looked like, and it said, because there was 100 on the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, is that wetlands?
No, that's for the contour line.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, gotcha.
So this is showing the proposed addition
Okay.
is within that box.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I can't really see it because there are trees here or something.
Yeah, I got it now.
Shaded
I'm
in, but
sorry.
the
Like
question
I said,
is-
it was a stupid question.
No, it wasn't at all, no, not at all. Any question's a good question. So it's for an in-law apartment, same unit, dwelling unit. The factors are, as I recited before, will it render the parcel substantially more detrimental to the parcel itself or to the neighborhood? It doesn't look or sound like it to me unless, are there other questions of the
Nope.
applicant or other?
You're not extending the driveway or anything
No.
like that,
I
no?
have one question.
Go ahead.
What is the area, total area of the in-law,
749,
right under the 750?
correct.
And why is
I
this
don't
a
see
non?
that listed, I don't know if we need to get that added,
I have it in one of the forms here if you want to see it.
We can put that in if you'd like to put that
Yeah.
into a decision. Does it say it on the plan anywhere? I don't.
Okay.
It's got, I mean, the bylaw would cover that too though, because you can't go over 750 square feet. And if they exceed that, then they would have to come back for a variance and
Right.
review for you guys anyway,
Okay,
if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah.
To answer your question, Tom, I think you were getting at, why is this non-conforming?
yeah, why is it? in
So
the-
it's in zoning district R60, the lot size is 35,789 square feet.
That's it,
So it's an undersized lot.
thank you.
Existing house is approximately, my records show 1,812 square feet. So an increase of 749 square feet is exceeded 25%, so that's why it's.
Sure is, yeah, yeah. And is this, oh, it's a cul-de-sac, right.
And it's attached,
Yeah.
like detached.
Okay. So is this, right, but if you have more questions for the applicant, please ask. Otherwise, is there a motion for a finding under 175, is it 16 now? Since we keep
Have you
changing.
changed it yet? Yeah.
16,
Yes, I think it's residential.
yeah, okay. It is whatever is, yeah. Is there a motion for a finding that this is not substantially, according to the plan of record which will be identified?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Any further discussion on that motion?
No.
Mr. Spangler? Nope. Nope. Mr. Tenoi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Spangler?
Yes.
Mr. Noel votes yes. So we'll draft this up and it'll have the plan attached. Again, it's got to be per the plan that you submitted, so that will be within the 749 and at the location that you submitted. And that has to be double checked when construction's complete, right? By Mr. Iafredi or the building inspector's department, so good luck with
And I
it.
have the plan with 749 if you want to take a peek at it.
This is going to be the
It's
plan
got
of
a
record.
plan anyways.
Perfect.
You're going to have it certified by Nick at
We'll
some
work,
point.
yeah,
right?
we'll work through it on the permit application.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
See
good
you.
luck,
Thank you.
Tim.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Have a good one.
Now your daughter said hello.
Hello. Thank you.
I wanted to see the application to see if there was anything else stated there, but we can go off the plan here because it included the necessary information, so that's fine. What do we have next? Gorman. Okay, next on the agenda is the Island Brook application, well, Island Brook Comprehensive Permit, 40B. And Mr. Gallagher,
Yes.
and you are?
Mr. Chairman, Christopher Agostino, counsel for Island Brook LLC.
Great, great. do we have Amy here participating, town council? Ms. Questle, thank you for being with us. Can you hear us adequately?
We just need to change the volume, Amy, so it'll just be a minute, because you're very low for us.
Yep. And I see Mr. Itani is here. Good evening, and council, and Mr. Gallagher. Now, this was a bit confusing for us when it came up 2 months ago, because back in our records, we had issued a comprehensive permit. I don't have those with me because I printed them out the first time, and they're still somewhere on my messy desk in my office. But this was 2014 or 15 that the permit was issued. And don't hold me to the dates precisely, but there was essentially a 3-year limit to begin building. And in fact, the permit holder had to show us within that 3-year period that I think construction permits had issued and all of that. From our point of view, we did not know what was happening in the meantime, and we never saw you again before this winter. So we had to go back in our records to see what we had on the comprehensive permit. And I would ask council, Amy Questle is town council. I'm not sure to ask Amy or to your council, Mr. Itani, to explain why I think your position is that the decision was told, and if that's a different terminology that you're using, please correct me.
Sure,
Again,
happy to explain.
I'm going from memory from a month or a month and a half ago.
That's
And Amy,
fine.
you can hear us, so I would ask you to advise the board as we go, or tell us that you'd like to speak to us separately. And thank you for being.
Sure, well, it is a public hearing, and there's no real, right now, I don't think there's a real threat of litigation, so I'm not sure we have any reason to go into an executive session, but what we need from Mr. Itani, who I'm certain will give us the information that we need. I've dealt with Mohammed on other large 40Bs before. So there is a provision in the zoning, in the comprehensive permit regulations 76056 that provide that a permit is good for 3 years, but it shall toll for any litigation related to the project. So from the information that we can piece together, it appears that the DEP, or I'm sorry, the Conservation Commission Order of Conditions, there was a request for a superseding order, and that ended up going to OADR, which is the Office of Appeals and Dispute Resolution, and that appears to have taken between 2018 and 2023 to resolve. Now, that sounds like a very, very long time. Unfortunately, I'm very familiar with OADR, and they are not the fastest tribunal to resolve litigation in. So because if you pair that with COVID, I think that is probably correct. We would need Mr. Itani to provide us with all of this information in writing. So if that is the case, then it appears that this comprehensive permit has told and is still effective. However, the chairman is correct. There was at one point there was a settlement agreement that the town entered into regarding this project back in, I think, 2016, which limits the project to 56 units, which I think that's what they're proposing still. But what we need from the applicant is confirmation that certain items that they were obligated to do in the settlement agreement have been done. So really what I guess we're looking for is just a real quick update on the matter thus far, now that we've kind of gotten our head around what's going on, which did take us a little bit because we were missing some records.
Yep, and apparently, in the file is now the final decision from the agency, which was last April? March of
2023, yes.
2023.
Yep.
So I have questions from council that I would raise as to, okay, it was told until that point. Does the 3 years start at that point, or do we continue with the old 3 years? Go ahead.
No, so I did the math, and, the settlement agreement that allowed for the 56 units was issued in July of 2016, and that would have expired in July of 2019. So if we take, and then the SOC was applied for February 1st of 2018, so we have from 2016 to 2018 is approximately, 20 months. And then it got told from February 1st of 2018 to March of 2023. And so March of 2023 to November, when they applied to you guys, was another, I think, 12 months. So the permit has been in effect, unappealed, for a total of 32 months. And 36 months would have been the tolling period. So if they had sat for 4 more months, we would have an argument that this permit has tolled. But from my math, which again, I became a lawyer because I can't do math, but I did use a calculator. So from my math, they're within their 3 years. Now, I did not take into consideration the COVID tolling because I didn't have to, because they're still within the 3 years. So under the COVID tolling, they would have gotten extra time on top of what they've got. So I think that they're pretty firm. I think they're on firm ground when they say that they're within their 3 years, from my math.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, I'm trying to talk to a transmission. You've answered the question about the tolling period, I appreciate that. The fact that it dropped off our list of approved 40B housing projects that the town maintained is not relevant then, or it's not decisive here. I mean, the zoning board assumed.
What it is unfortunate. So what happens, and it's not just this project, what happens is under the regulations, under 5603, once a comprehensive permit is issued by your board and filed with the town clerk, the units go on the SHI. We then have 1 year, we have 12 months to issue a building permit for those to stay on the SHI. And we then have 1 year to issue a certificate of occupancy for those to stay on the SHI. And once we have a certificate of occupancy, they're on the SHI. However, you have projects where once the project is approved, the developer does not pull a building permit for the first 12 months. They have 3 months, they have 3 years to use that permit. So there are times when we have, units are essentially, they're always coming on and off the SHI.
Okay.
And again, with regard to comprehensive permits, the regulations are not in favor of municipalities. So we're up against some pretty onerous regulations when it comes to keeping units on the SHI. But again, that isn't Mr. Itani's, that's nothing to hold against him.
Understood.
It is what it is, and it happens with many, many SHI units.
Simply asking because from our viewpoint, this project had lapsed. I didn't think about it after a certain amount of time. And then when Mr. Itani came back to us this week. Sorry, can we kill it? Somebody is,
Down in Norton.
I noticed your watch chain in this photograph. Caught my eye because there's
we,
on its watch.
I don't have the whole stability to shoot them.
we are hearing some discussion at the town hall.
That's actually private Charlie's house.
Can we, let's try to ignore that. I don't know why it just
to
started.
lower the volume?
You can't mute it.
Well, we're gonna have to hear from town council. Okay, maybe you can you lower the volume here again? Thank you. They obviously realize they're not, they don't realize that they're mic'd.
Yeah, but now we won't hear Amy.
But we can turn it up when we need to, right?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Amy, you're right now on, we cannot hear you, Amy, so before I ask you a question or you start talking again, wave your arms and we'll turn up the volume here. We're getting chatter from town hall, and I'm not,
Yeah, he doesn't.
That's the challenge.
You can't go on, you're not the host of the meeting?
Is this the host computer?
No,
No.
it's remote, she's remote.
okay, let's go on as we can here, and hopefully that subsides in a moment. Counsel for the project,
Sure.
do you agree basically with what Ms. Questle said?
Yes, I thank Attorney Questle for doing my work for me. Her recitation was accurate, and I would agree with her analysis of tolling. The only minor detail, I believe the permit would have become final when the HAC entered the settlement agreement as the HAC's decision. There was a settlement agreement in 2016 that she referenced that was signed by the parties in July.
Yes.
It was actually entered as an order of the HAC. They adopted the settlement agreement as their decision in November. So the operative date when the permit became final would have been November of 2016, just where we're dealing with a few months
Instead of July, you're saying?
instead of July.
But that, okay, so we don't have to settle that right now because.
No, we're still within
Amy agrees,
tolerances.
And you agree you're within the time pocket, but we make, I mean, I suppose if it languishes further, languish is my term, not intended to be offensive. I do have a question for you, and I have to pose to Amy as well. The project is, the plans have morphed somewhat. I mean, I can't tell you if it's a great difference or a minor difference. It's actually reduced to 54, did I say?
So 52,
Oh,
52
52.
units. And I would just suggest, so this is the normal evolution of a comprehensive permit project where it was last before the board, you issue a comprehensive permit based on what is commonly known as preliminary plans.
That was 56.
56,
units.
and then the applicant is required to go get state approvals, one of which is the State Wetlands Protection Act Order of Conditions, and that was the 5 years of litigation before the DEP. And things naturally change during that process. So the overall look and feel of the development will be the same, but a lot of the technical details as to how the stormwater management system and certain wetlands protection features were finally approved by the Office of Appeals and Dispute Resolution. So now we come back before the board and present the final plans for the board to make a determination of consistency. If it's consistent with the original approval, and we also go through the exercise of reviewing the other conditions that we had to satisfy, then you issue your final approval, and we go to the building department and proceed from there.
So your view is that it's within what we approved, therefore it's good to go. My question for council, I'm gonna have to ask Amy be turned up again, her volume be turned up again.
Mr. Chairman, I can't hear anything. There's another meeting going on
Yeah.
Zoom.
That's
So
the problem. I need
there's
to-
another meeting that's Town of Norton that somebody needs to do.
Yeah,
I can't
yes.
hear anything.
Gotcha.
Mr. Chairman, would you prefer that?
They just muted, we got it.
Yep, we got it.
There you go. Okay, I couldn't hear anything
Sorry.
when I stopped talking.
Amy, if I can summarize, and council will tell me if I got it wrong. Council basically agrees with you, except that they feel that the start date isn't the July date, but that November, because it was actually signed by the court then, or stamped in to the court then, is, but that's a minor point, because we both agree, it looks like that they're within the time pocket. So I'm good with that. To the extent that plans have changed, it's a different number of units. It's less than the 56 we approved, it's now 52. But don't we review those plans? Don't we get to review those plans as in peer review to see that stormwater changes are still within? I don't know the technical terminology to use. I'm asking Council, is it appropriate now to peer review plans that have changed?
So they're doing less than the settlement agreement called for, which was 56, they're doing 52 now. So this is what we need. This is what I was saying in the beginning, what we need from them is, are they in compliance with the settlement agreement, which was the effective decision, basically, from July of 2016. And if they have changes, then we have to determine if those changes are substantial or not. And if they are substantial, then we would review them. Yes, that is correct. Also, we need to know if their appeal to OADR and the wetlands changed anything. Because if that's the case, then we definitely need to relook at the site plan.
Okay, so I can ask council that right here. Can you address that?
So when council refers to changes to the site plan, I think the critical analysis for the board is there's an enumeration of what constitutes a substantial change versus an insubstantial change. Now that we received the Stormwater Management and Wetlands Protection Act permit from the DEP and the OADR, that is the stormwater plan. So that's approved by the state, complies with the Wetlands Protection Act. As far as the stormwater features are concerned, that's how it will be built. This board's consideration is compliance with the conditions and whether there's a substantial change from the perspective of the regulations, which recites like the number of units is within 10% of the original, the square footage of the overall development. Essentially what you will see, and we're happy to do a presentation of the plan sort of before and after, has the same look and feel. From a layperson's perspective, you generally won't be able to tell the difference, and that's how the process generally proceeds. If it got before you again, and you looked at the plan and said, wait a second, this is a different project, then at that point, you may engage, further peer review to look at the analysis. But as far as the stormwater system's concerned, the process works that we now have our state permit, and that's set in stone.
That's what we go with, in other words. Okay, so how do we determine, I mean, we're lay people, how do we determine if this is substantial or not?
Would you want Frank to give us a presentation on the changes that happened to the plans?
The suggestion, Amy, is that Mr. Gallagher, the engineer, presents to us what changes are on the new plan set, and that we essentially take a look at that tonight, I assume. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Amy,
Well,
is
we
that
also need to know, they need to go through the settlement agreement, and we need to make sure that certain aspects of the settlement agreement have been accomplished.
Okay,
What is it? That's
So,
like an order of conditions.
I think it might be premature to go over the changes tonight when we could accomplish everything with a
okay,
memo from them indicating what the changes are. And, a before plan and an after plan would be very helpful. So we could see what the changes are. With regard to stormwater, if stormwater is under the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission, then the stormwater is final. And back in 2016, when this was approved, the Norton had no general local wetland bylaw. But we'd have to look at the zoning bylaw to see. So, for example, Mohammed, Mr. Aitani, are your waivers changing?
No. Actually, the roads, everything stayed exactly the same. They just wanted us to lose some houses because they're close to a vernal pool. So really, nothing has changed at all, basically, on the plan. They made us move some ponds, just reshape them, not move them. They're in the same location, just shape them a little bit to move them a little bit out of the wetland line. But that was basically it. But it took 5 years to get to that point. But COVID has a lot to do with it too. So to be fair, it wasn't just like people, nobody was meeting, nobody was doing anything.
understood. So can we, go ahead.
Ms. Wexel, there was an older document we saw in one of our past meetings, and I remember, I think, and I can't find it, it's not on our Dropbox, but it was something that you had to do for the, and I remember specifically, it was like, create a sidewalk for the town. It had a bunch of items that needed to get done, and
Yeah, we were gonna, and we still will, pay into the cost of the sidewalk that went by our property
Right.
to the library.
so does that document need to be relooked at now? My only purpose of saying that is because that sidewalk's now complete. And not that I'm trying to save you money at all, I'm just
No,
saying,
no,
like,
no.
I don't remember what else was in there, that, should that be reconsidered now, since it's been,
That's part of the decision, as I remember.
That's correct.
Was it part of the
That we will pay
later
into-
settlement agreement, I believe?
We will pay into the sidewalk cost of construction after, that construction or something, so we're still willing to do that.
Yep.
So the town will get basically some of its costs back.
oh, okay. Alright.
So you're stating.
But I didn't know if we should have to look at that now, because, but that was what was settled upon in court. Is that what we're talking about was settled?
Well, no, that's actually the
That was
original.
part of the decision.
That's the original decision, I think. The settlement agreement, I have a copy of here, and I see the November date, was it, what did you say, it was signed by the?
November 10th, and
That's not the
then,
original comprehensive permit.
Okay.
That's
But
what we just
you
were
know,
looking
right.
at, is the settlement.
I mean, we can agree on that, and we can look at this document, we'll, you know.
So
go to-
that's what I was trying to get at. The most helpful thing would be for them to go through the settlement agreement and respond as to what has been accomplished, what's been completed in the settlement agreement, because, you know, quite frankly, there are some, you know, monetary obligations that they're obligated to, you know, give the town, and those should have been fulfilled before we look at changes to the project, I think.
Can I ask a question, Tom?
Mr. Spangler.
For something that, for example, like traffic, I don't know, before you would have done a traffic study, it's years later now, does something like that need to be redone to get updated, you know, numbers, and, or is it still valid as
The
part of?
project is still a valid project, in
Okay.
my opinion. It told, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, because it was told, it's still a valid decision. And so I don't think we'd have much grounds to require a new traffic study. You know, if they were, so on top of the fact that they have a valid permit, at least right now, that's my opinion, is, you know, once they get back to us with all of these settlement requirements, that might change. But right now, they have a valid permit. They're seeking a modification to the permit. And from a traffic standpoint, since they're reducing the units, most likely we wouldn't really have grounds to require a new traffic study.
Okay.
That makes sense from our perspective, thank you.
Yeah.
So I think they've already kind of offered this. Can you go through that settlement agreement and present something to us in the next couple of weeks?
Can Amy and Chris talk together and try to come out with a format that gets presented to the board? It's easier than having them go back and forth on if there are any points that they need clarification from each other, or something that they can between them resolve.
Yes, that's fine, Mohammed. And your attorney did reach out to me. Unfortunately, at the time, I didn't have any answers. We, the chair and the town manager and the building commissioner and Brian, we all essentially figured this out on Thursday. So, you know, we didn't have a lot of time. And
No,
so
that's fine. I just wanna
you know,
be
I
sure.
didn't get back to him.
Excellent,
We were
excellent.
sort
So
of
if they
looking
can
at this-
communicate,
Yeah.
it'll make life easier for everybody.
That sounds appropriate.
Yeah.
We were trying to piece everything together to see, you know, from the town's perspective, what, this is coming back? I know, you know, one hand is here and one hand is here, they're both connected to the body, but you know how town,
Sure, no, that's
local
fair.
Not
governments
uncommon.
work. But I appreciate you offering the information and Amy and council getting together. This is a live permit, we believe, so we've answered that preliminary, that was my question 4
That's
weeks
correct.
ago.
That's correct.
Coming, you know, with records such as they were on our end. So we appreciate that response. I just eyeballed the plans, I counted up the houses, and I said, oh, it's a different number. I think the number is stated on the cover sheet, but I'm not qualified, none of us are, to look at that and say, this is different or this is not different. So this is very good guidance, and operating through council is probably a very efficient way to do it. We want to be efficient so that this gets done. One other question, council, Amy, I know has come up. Because we're now above the 10%, that doesn't have any regard on what we're doing here either, because it's a live permit, correct?
Correct, it's a valid permit, so yes.
And we're not looking to get out of that permit, I'm just asking because I've heard that question posed a few times from the town's point of view. So thank you for clarifying. Is this something that we should schedule for a few weeks off? And I have to ask when our next scheduled meeting is.
I think it was 3rd April.
April 3?
It was later in April, I thought.
I thought it was the third Wednesday in April, 17th.
April 17?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we think this can get done and then presented back to us on April 17th? See, I'm confused as
Like a
to,
month and a half from now.
So, Mr. Chairman, April 17th is school vacation week, and unfortunately, I'm not available that week.
do we have anything scheduled for that date? In other words, can we move the date?
We can move the date.
Can we do it a week earlier or no?
No, I can't do second Wednesdays.
Right.
You have to take another day of the week.
Another day of that week, perhaps? Of that week, the 10th or 8th or 9th?
Yeah, I mean, any day except Wednesday will work for me.
The 9th, I'm not available.
Not available on the 9th?
On the 9th,
Okay,
yeah.
that's the Tuesday, is it?
Yeah.
So it would be Monday, the 8th?
Or
I'm
Thursday,
not
yeah.
available on the 8th.
Okay.
I'm
How about the 11th?
I'm at a town meeting in Rockport.
The 11th?
11th, the Thursday?
Yeah, where's Thursday?
I can do that.
Do we think that we could bring this to resolution at that time? And my question, talk about dumb questions. What is it that we're deciding here? Are we, the application says something like approving
You're accepting the plans after the modification that DEP made us do. basically.
okay.
So you're approving a modification.
Yeah.
to
It's a,
the
okay, so that's the
2016
paradigm
permit,
we've got to look at this.
Because
Okay.
that permit provided for 56 units. So, what I think the best thing that we should do is, before the 11th, figure out, what else you need to be doing. So for example, if they're looking for, a subdivision plans, for example, to be signed, that would be signed by you as the zoning board. You would be stepping into the shoes of the planning board.
That's exactly what was on the
so-
application, Amy, subdivision
Yeah,
plan
so if we
approval.
could get everything that needs to be done by the ZBA done on the 11th,
I see.
that would be beneficial to everybody and it wouldn't set the applicant back too much. So rather than just saying, okay, on the 11th, we'll decide if this is a substantial modification or an insubstantial modification, you can determine that, and then you can also move forward with the next steps the applicant needs from you. We wouldn't know what those are until we get answers on the settlement agreement.
That was what the application actually stated, subdivision approval, and my reaction was, what is that? We don't do those. Are there subdivision plans then that were submitted?
Yes.
There would be, and this board, for purposes of 40B, would sit in the shoes of the planning board, so you would endorse the final plans when the time comes.
Do we have those plans yet?
Not ready for,
We
the
submitted
Mylars
them,
ready
yeah,
for
we
signature?
submitted,
Oh,
not
okay.
the Mylars.
They can be submitted then, okay.
Yeah, we submitted those plans.
They were submitted?
Yes, correct, back in November.
Oh, that's,
They're the single sheet ones.
okay, all right,
But you first have to determine, you first have to address the modification.
okay. So is there now further discussion as to whether this is a substantial modification, in which case we open a public hearing, which is what we've been talking about, correct?
So what I would suggest that you continue this to the 11th, and at that point, we would determine whether it's substantial or insubstantial. Most likely it would be an insubstantial modification, due to the amount of units that are being reduced, but,
Because that's by statute.
but keep it a public, keep it on your agenda as a public hearing because
Okay,
we can address any issues that come up with regard to the settlement agreement at that time.
and hopefully wrap them up then if the pre-work is all completed.
So-
So,
I think,
Mr. Gallagher.
So, Mr. Chairman, none of this is standard or normal,
Right.
what we're doing in this
It
case.
seems to be our life.
Yeah, we encounter that just about every meeting.
Yeah,
I mean, by default,
normally,
ZBA is to do that,
you know,
the
it
stuff
would be
that
different,
nobody
but
else can
there's
do,
just been
right?
such a
By
long
default.
period of time.
Yeah.
But, so.
Yep,
so.
Mr. Gallagher.
What you want from us is for us to take the plans that we've submitted and show you that they meet the conditions in the settlement agreement.
The settlement agreement,
Now.
step by, paragraph, I
So-
assume, then.
So, I guess my question is, how do we do that? Do we do that in writing to you? Do we do it when we present on the 11th? How do we?
It'd be helpful if
because
you could do
I
it
can-
beforehand,
Ahead of time.
Okay.
so we can take a quick look at it, like maybe a week, give us a week to.
I assume council can summarize with the settlement agreement there, you know, we feel we've met this because
Right.
there's no substantial change to stormwater, or whatever, you know, excuse my terminology, wastewater or whatever it is called that the town has purview over.
Yeah, and if I may.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I think town council and I can work together to fine tune something that we can present to the board that shows next steps. We'll also drill down on the standard. It's a determination for consistency is how I view the board's charge now. We're not requesting a modification necessarily. There's another provision under the 40B regs that talk about the final plan shall be presented to determine consistency with the original approval.
I see.
And I think we're within tolerances of consistency. It's probably semantics to some degree, but we can drill down on exactly what the standard of review is and confirm that. And I think either way, you get to the same finish point.
Good.
So we'll put together, I think the application is pending before the board, and we can put together something to help you make that decision. I think the only other point that I'd like to keep open, and town council may not have heard it because of the technical problems, was the point on when precisely the permit would lapse. And I think there was, because we're within tight tolerances, only having a few months left, the calculation I had done.
Go ahead to explain to Amy now that she can hear you fully.
I had mentioned, I was looking at the date when the Housing Appeals Committee endorsed the settlement agreement, which was later on in 2016 in November. So I ran finality from November 30th, which it adds a few months, and since we're working on a tight timeline here, and the standard is commencement of construction, I think, a few months can be important, but it may also come before the board that we may not be able to start construction, so we may, at some point, request an extension of the permit. We're not there yet, we don't need it, we want to move expeditiously, I just wanted to tickle that thought in the agenda.
You know, is there a?
So I would need evidence of that, because I don't have any of that.
Yeah, I don't either, because what I have is the signed by me and
Yeah.
two other board members, July of 16. Then I have a cert of service at the end that says November 10, cert of service, but,
Yeah, that's when it was sent to the town. I have the one signed by his.
so there's some signature page that I don't
Actually, no,
have.
this is it, decision on stipulation, so this was
You
signed.
can take it from me.
Yeah, so this was signed. This was signed.
Just that page.
Yeah, it's the first page.
Let me see.
So that's when she entered, when the HAC would have adopted it.
Okay, so, I mean, we can send this, get this.
Yes, I
don't know.
will, you know what I'll do, I'll prepare a letter. I had started drafting something up, I wasn't sure where the
Yes.
meeting was gonna go tonight, but
Yep.
I could submit a letter that explains our view on tolling so that we're all on the same page as to exactly what the timeline is. I'm sure we'll concur on the details, and then we'll get something in front of the board to review what happened then, and then the final plans now, and we'll be on our way.
I see, the decision on settlement is actually just 2 pages. It attaches the original decision.
Right,
Got it, thank you. I hadn't seen that before. Okay, and we'll we can get this to Amy, you will as well,
Yep.
of course. So I'd invite you to communicate. You have each other's contact information, I assume?
Yep, if the
Or-
board
Yeah.
authorizes council to
Yes.
communicate, then we
Certainly.
can make quick work of this.
Okay. Is there anything else, Amy, that we should ask about at this point?
No, I can cover it from here in between now and the 11th. For example, the waivers that were granted refer to a plan of record. So this is definitely would be a modification because there's a specific reference to a plan of record. So we would need a copy of that plan of record. But I can relay all of this to council.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, council, and council as well. Anything else, Mr. Atani, tonight?
No, I'm all good, thanks, Amy, appreciate it.
Let's move forward as quickly as we can. And April 11th then, is there a motion to continue this to, is that a Thursday?
It is a Thursday.
Thursday, April 11th, say 7:05.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. No further discussion. Mr. Tenori?
Yes.
Mr. Spangler?
Yes.
Mr. Noel votes yes. Thank you very much
Thank you.
for your explanation and
Thank
the
you.
information.
Eventually, because we lost so many units, we have a loop that comes in this way. And we kind of like have one side of the loop with no houses on it. Eventually, I would like, this is why we're under time pressure, but eventually I would like to go in front of the board and simplify the roadway, but reduce the impact on wetlands, reduce.
Well, that would be a modification.
It's still, is it?
I mean, we can look at
We can look at it, but, so we might end up needing an extension, that's why I'm saying that, if the
We'll
board.
just take it a
is
step at
willing
a
to
time,
entertain
though.
that.
Just-
Okay.
Let's get it going anyway, and thank you.
Thanks, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Town Council, Amy, thank you very much for your time.
No problem.
April
So I will
11th.
see you all on the 11th.
Yeah, we'll get
Yes.
through it. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Amy.
you. Have a good night.
Yep, you
Bye,
too.
Amy.
Okay, where's my, one thing I can, the agenda. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the 40B comprehensive permit at 253 Mansfield Ave.
Yeah, they're looking for an extension.
And are they present tonight? Is there anybody here from the 253?
ACR just put on their camera, so I think so.
Mr. Chairman, how are you? This is Anthony Riccio from Cornwall Properties for 253 Mansfield Ave.
Yes.
So on the advertisement, we saw that it was the wrong address.
We caught that and issued a new agenda.
Yep.
So we understand, you're 253 Mansfield Ave.
Yep, I'm 253 Mansfield Ave. So the agenda we got was the wrong address, so nobody's here. I'm home with the flu. I just showed up out of respect to let you guys know that you might have had the wrong address, so I apologize. There was some just
Not at all.
miscommunication.
Not at all. I mean, we got it wrong in the first instance. So are you saying that you have a team that will present?
There's a team that's smarter than me, exactly, to present. We're just looking for an extension on the 40B application. So they didn't show up thinking that it was miscommunication between themselves and Mr. Carmichael.
Got it.
I don't know if the advertisement was wrong. So I just jumped on myself. Again, I'm home with the flu, just out of respect for you folks that you weren't wondering what was going on.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much. You are the project, you're the project owner, correct? Or
Yeah.
Correct, yes.
the name attached to the company?
That's correct.
Yes, I remember you from a couple of years ago. Basically, was it a 3-year period that we had put in the permit as well for your project?
It was a three-year period, yes.
And now it's coming up in June.
It's coming up in June, and obviously we got delayed with everything going on in the economy and
Yep, understood.
so we're just looking for an extension on the project. Again, I apologize. I'm home with the flu. I'm not making much sense.
No, you are. You're actually the person who made the most sense tonight so far for me, from my point of view, so. So we just scheduled our next meeting for April 11th, which is a Thursday. Are you amenable to that?
Whatever works for you folks. Again, I apologize for all the miscommunication. Whatever works for you folks is fine by me. I'll be there.
Not at all. So Yeah, why don't we have a motion to continue this comprehensive permit modification request to April 11th with the applicant's permission, April 11th at 7:10.
I'll make
Well,
that-
actually, we may want to do this before Island Brook. Why don't we say 7:03, because this is probably a much simpler view. You know, we could probably do this in 5 or 10 minutes, I'm suggesting. Why don't we say 7:03 on April 11th?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
Mr. Tenori?
Yes.
Mr. Spangler?
Yes.
Mr. Noel votes yes. So April 11th at just a couple minutes after 7. And thank you very much for your coming on and explaining.
Thank you, and again, I apologize. Thank you, folks.
Not at all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that's all on the agenda tonight. I thought it was gonna be much more confusing than it is. It was actually. Do we have anything else for us tonight? Okay. So we got some work cut out for us on both 40Bs coming up. We'll let council, it sounds like they're gonna be able to agree on everything going forward. It just struck us as odd because we'd had a number of 40Bs approved over the last 10 years, and a number of them just dropped off.
He's one of them.
Well, because conditions changed and the
Yeah.
developer decides, no, I'm not gonna invest the money in it at this point. And if they drop, they drop. But this one hadn't really dropped,
Right.
unbeknownst to the board, this board, and sounds like town manager as well. They were still out there in litigation. We didn't have a system to keep track of that. That's what happened.
Yep.
So appreciate everybody bringing us around to the same spot now.
Yeah, you guys did a lot of work, good job.
Well, you know, thanks for looking everything up, and we're gonna have to, I don't know where I got this, if Amy didn't have it, but,
I thought we did give the 2014, 2016.
okay, well, I have it, so I have it in my computer, and I will, we have it, we'll get it. Can I ask that, for the further meetings, though, that you affirmatively send us
The Dropbox link.
the link?
And OpenGov application as well.
Yeah. OpenGov.
Usually the application was put in the Dropbox. What,
Yeah.
that used to have
That's-
be there.
Well, I know Permitize, you could print it, but OpenGov, it doesn't look like you can, so I'm proud of it.
Well, who puts it in Dropbox? Can you put the application there too?
Can you do save as?
I mean, there's a paper application, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's digital. but
Digital.
you
It's all
can print
digital.
it.
Oh, it's all digital now?
Yeah, we can print it, it's just gonna come in different format than Permitize was, you have to get
That's fine.
adjusted to it, but then, we'll sit down, Brian, there's a way to print them out.
In the Dropbox
Or
then,
just, can you do save as? And just,
I'll have to look, I'll have to figure it out.
if you could.
Yeah, the only way I thought was, sorry to interrupt, Tom.
bless you.
No,
Bless you,
go ahead.
bless you.
Hey,
I'm just trying to work out a better system.
Yeah.
I was in Boston until about 5 o'clock, and I hopped on the train, and I realized, I said, I don't have anything. Sending the link
Yeah.
ahead of time, a day or two ahead, with the actual Dropbox link as it exists that night. All you're saying, does it not change? Should this link be the same one in a few weeks?
That link will be everything.
it should be the same.
Okay.
I know
Yeah.
Charlene had it explode on her.
Oh, really?
Right, and so that pug you saw, that dog error message you got when you were trying to.
Oh, yeah.
That's something that we had earlier, that was
Oh.
a problem, so we tried fixing it and we.
So you just changed the links, right, so, but I'm saying for our purposes, because we're running around doing other things, you know.
So just remind you guys with the same.
Send the link, whatever link is active at that time, a few days before, so.
And I hadn't seen an agenda, so I actually assumed it was just one
Right,
application.
and I went on the town website to get the agenda
I didn't
on
even think to
Friday.
do that.
So, I mean, that's what we need in the Dropbox link, and an affirmative, here, guys, here you go, spoon feed us.
Yeah, I
'Cause
don't know what.
we need spoon feeding.
Also, sorry about that, because I have 3 meetings in a row this week.
Yep.
You planning and then the joint meeting.
You're overworked, I mean, I'm not,
I know, the joint meeting's Wednesday, right?
that's right. Yikes, I haven't looked at anything for that.
Neither have I gotta try to do that tomorrow.
But that's the joint meeting on the bylaws.
Yeah, you sent a bunch of stuff, and then there was some conversation back and forth, and
I haven't looked at any of it.
I gotta look. I gotta
I've been out
look.
straight. But, you know, if we can sign on Wednesday, you're not available Wednesday?
No, I mean, I am, but I can't do 5 o'clock meetings, yeah.
Got it. We should make that clear for the group, so that going forward you can. I thought we had said that last
We
time.
talked about it, but,
We talked about bringing it up at the meeting,
yeah, at the next meeting.
because this was already scheduled for 5 o'clock,
Okay.
and the public meeting. So
Right.
last month, we talked about bringing it up at this
Well, let's
coming meeting.
remind Wednesday, and I'll be on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So let's remember to speak up
Yep,
for
appreciate
Spangler.
it, thank you, yeah.
Okay, is there anything else tonight then? No? Nick, thank you again for your assistance. Really,
Absolutely.
really appreciate the background and,
I actually just like seeing you once a month.
I tend to agree with you, my friend.
I'll call the meeting adjourned. Is there
Nothing to
a
do.
motion to adjourn at 8:05?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.